In a little while, we're going to board the, I guess, the Discovery 3. It looks like it's ready to go for a river cruise, Riverboat Discovery. Cruise here in Fairbanks, Alaska. Yeah, it should be lots of fun. We and everybody else on 6 cruise buses are boarding the Discovery 3, Riverboat Discovery. And she thinks it's 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm counting 8 now.
Okay.
About 8 buses here. So.
And just a few cars over there.
And just, well, the pickup's ours. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cars got a pickup, and there's a van back there. So, yeah, these cruise ships, trains, and everything is what delivers the passengers for the Riverboat Discovery here.
They're all just secretly praying that our 3-hour tour comes back in one piece. And yes, folks, I know, it's a 3-hour boat tour. If you really think you have a Gilligan's Island joke I haven't heard by now, you're welcome to share, but otherwise, we'll assume it was hilarious and let's just move on to the line. He's studying great geology.
I can see you.
Can you see you? I see you.
And now that he's finally caught his breath, I know he's got somewhere else to run off to. Thank you so much, Eric.
All right.
It's a pretty house.
Riverboat Discovery
Call
tour.
out to him or our other deckhands. They are here for you. But in addition to them, some very special people on board today are our native guides.
Ooh,
We're going to be sharing about their cultures and ways of living with us.
It's yours, how about it?
Cheetah Village a bit later on.
It costs $1 million.
I'd like to introduce you to one of them right now. Way up on our very top deck. We're 30 miles south of the Arctic Circle and actually our country's northernmost metropolitan area. And Fairbanks was founded very much on and because of this river. We can still see new development of homes being built out along its shores to this day. It's very much served as the lifeblood for our community. Which is why, even though Captain Jim Binkley ran freight all around Alaska during the 30s and 40s, when him and his wife Mary eventually decided to settle into a tour business, they elected to do it right here along the Cheetah River, all of their permanent home. And when they started in 1950, they just used a little boat called the Godspeed. They purchased that from a nearby church, kind of like the play on words. But that boat sat about 2 dozen people. So they outgrew it pretty quick, and they built Discovery 1 for themselves right out of their backyard in the summer of 1955.
My name's Rob. I used to power in Alaska back in about 98, flying little airplanes, and then I flew the Air Force for the next 20 years in F-16. But never even flying in little airplanes. Real passion and what a lot of fun.
Well, I've told folks a little bit about this plane, the Super Cut, made by the Piper Company, and they're very popular up here, probably the quintessential all-Alaskan airplane. Why is it you guys prefer this model so much?
Well, the Super Cub and Alaska go hand in hand. These are rugged airplanes. They've allowed people to explore the entire width and breadth of the state, and they still are. They get into really tiny little strips on skis, little strips of water on floats, and of course on wheels too. And it's got to have friends who float the whole perimeter of the state, landing on beaches the whole way. They're just a great Alaska.
little closer, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you all to Rangerbird tarandus. The domesticated variant you see right here is the reindeer. The wild variant is the caribou. The caribou are a very important one-stop shop for survival for groups all around our state, because everything you need is right there in one convenient package. Right? There's meat for food, hide for clothing and shelter, antlers and bones for crafts and tools, hooves, guts, sinew, brain. Every part of this animal would get put to use. And these guys are the same genus and species as their wild caribou cousins. They've got all the same evolutionary traits. They're slightly smaller just due to domestic. And they do it quickly, in case predators are after them, thanks to those big flat split hooves they've got. Those make excellent paddles, a half-decent snowshoe, but most importantly, they make a good shovel. Because as you can see, folks, this is a grazing deer. But it lives in a part of the world where lunch is buried under snow 6 months out of the year. They use those to tunnel down, get at the moss or the lichen buried underneath. And that's actually where they get their name. Caribou is a Mi'kmaq native word, and it roughly translates to the deer that paws at the ground, or the deer that shovels. I also like to point out those big antlers they've got, because both the males and females grow those. And this is the only species of deer where that normally happens. Now, I'll be honest, folks, I can't tell you who's who from up here. Boy, girl, I don't know. I have to get a lot closer and, well, a lot more intimate. Sure what it is we're going to see. You can see just looking out at the Tanana why it's called a braided river system. It's not just one central channel like most rivers you're used to. It's all sorts of side fingers, rivers that break off, join back in with themselves. If you look at it from above on something like Google Earth,
in our culture, we would feed this to the dogs at camp. And this fish also had eggs in it, so we would boil them and eat them as a nice treat. Food for our elders.
Yeah, we have come ashore at Chena Village off of the Riverboat Discovery. And we have a guide here that's going to show us some things.
It's gonna be fun.
And it's always fun when you're with Ben. Adventure Day. I smell smoked Rudolph. Plants and plants or prints here. Okay, let me take a picture. These are some of the things that they're going to show us and explain more to us here in a little while. There's like a home made out of hides. Oh yeah, with a hole in the roof where the smoke goes out. Here's kind of shelter you can put together with spruce branches here. You can put that kind of shelter together.
Sebastian and Lucia from the village in Canada, which is located in the Yukon and Canada River Sea. So I spent most of my childhood all down the rivers collecting my family's subsistence food. Currently, I'm now a junior at a local university of Alaska, Fairbanks, where I'm studying English, and I plan to become a teacher. But right now, we are in the Canada Valley, which is the heart of Athabascan country and on the ancestral land of the Denali people. And today, Ken and I will be sharing with you how the Athabascans skillfully survived in this environment for over 10,000 years, and how we've adapted to village life and Western culture within the past century. Now, we will be having 3 short stops on our tour of the village today, and we do ask that you all please stay with us because we want to make sure that you get a chance to see and hear everything. However, once the tour is over, you will have time to roam around the village on your own, ask questions, and take any pictures you might have. Now, right around here, you see what the Athabascan campsite might have looked like before Western contact. Anthropologists tell us the Athabascans had to survive in some of the most difficult environmental conditions known to man. And they'd done so for over 10,000 years, before any contact with the outside world. Now this often meant they were following herds of game through the Arctic to provide for their families. And the two primary animals that they would hunt were the moose and the caribou. But speaking of caribou, these you see here in the pen are their domesticated relatives, the reindeer. Now we do have to remember that although related... Alright, welcome to our second stop, everyone. Around us here, you can see some examples of Alaska's largest game animals. Over to your far right, we have the hide of the grizzly. In the middle is the moose, and then closest to me here is the hide of the caribou. Wow, what a skilled hunter. But rawhide is clearly far too stiff to be made into clothing just yet. So to continue the tanning process, this is then soaked in a solution of water and fermented moose brains. And this milky fluid had acidic enzymes that would help break down the tough fiber of the rawhide. They could then take a tool like this clevasse. Now this looks very, very similar to the northern ulu, except it has this serrated edge that's been made for scraping rather than cutting. So after weeks and weeks of soaking the hide, scraping it, and wringing it out, they could finally reduce it down to a nice and soft, greasy material, just like this. And to preserve all that hard work, they would stretch the hide over a campfire and smoke it. You can always tell a true native tanned hide by its rich and smoky smell. Now I'd like to share some traditional native garments with you. This is a ceremonial maiden's dress. Like the bluebell, or the state flower, the forget-me-not. On the chief's coat, these flowers symbolize animal tracks in hopes of bringing the Athabascan man good luck on the trap line. Both of these garments are trimmed with beaver fur, and the buttons on the chief's coat are made from cross-sections of moose antler. While the buttons on the maiden's dress are made from cross-sections of caribou antler.
Oh.
Ah.
Leo is modeling an Athabascan, Yukon-style women's winter parka. It's all traditional, except for that giant zipper running down the middle. That's only there so we can take it on and off quickly on hot summer days. Traditionally, it would be sewn together and worn as a pullover-style parka. The main body of this parka is beaver fur, which has been sheared for design. It's trimmed with calfskin, river otter, and timber wolf. But get your cameras ready, because she's going to show you the sunshine ruff.
Oh my land.
The outer part of the ruff is timber wolf, and the inner part is wolverine. Wolverine is always sewn closest to the face because of the natural oil that helps prevent frostbite.
Wow.
All of the remaining pieces would be sewn into these tassels. Beadwork and skin sewing techniques were passed on generation after generation, and every family has their own traditional beadwork design. For example, this artist is from Fort Yukon, and this is her family's traditional wild rose pattern. Often, if a woman were to travel to another village, they would be able to tell where she was from just by looking at the designs on the back of her parka. Thank you, Leo. Some fun facts about... They would take large spruce trees, just like the ones we still have growing all around us. We would then cut them, peel them, and stack them for the walls. Now the gaps between all of the logs were then treated with moss to windproof the cabin. Now the roof above is a little bit different. It's made from younger spruce poles that have been peeled and laid flat across the top. That was then covered with a layer of bark. And then to seal and insulate that roof, they would place earth on top of the bark. And then the grass would have to be planted to keep that soil from eroding. So now that you all know a bit more about these cabins, how many of you think you would survived an Alaskan winter in this cabin. But once he returned home, he would need somewhere to store all the valuable pelts he collected.
Which leads me to the structure that I'm sitting on, which is called a cache. Cache is the French word for storage or hiding place, and that's exactly what this is used for. It's a storage shed that's built on stilts to keep its contents off the ground, out of the snow, and away from animals. Here on the front of the cache, you can see examples of some of interior Alaska's fur-bearing animals. This is a large-sized timber wolf pelt, and it stretches over 7 feet from nose to tail. The wolf was very valuable to the Athabascans because of its use in clothing. Cross sections from the back of the pelt would be used to make the ruff of the parka, or a full pelt could be used to make one complete parka, which was most often worn by men. This next one is the lynx. The lynx are very closely related to the bobcat, and they're known for their black-tipped ears, short stubby tail, and big fluffy paws to help it bound across the winter snow. This next pelt is the wolverine. The wolverine was also very valuable, but for a couple of reasons. Like we said at our last stop, they have a natural oil in their fur that prevents breath from freezing to it, so this is mostly used for the inner part of a crocodile. The wolverine is also a very ferocious and cunning animal, so only the best and luckiest trappers were able to take home this prize.
Okay, we are in a negative 65 degrees freezer right now to get the below 40 experience here in Fairbanks, Alaska. And we got to get out of here. It is so cold.